Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the Take for Market Rebellion on this Monday morning. We start off a new week, and yet it looks just like every week before this. The volatility is there. The movement is there. And when we go back to Friday, certainly another one of these big days. You had volatility that was all over the place. We actually peaked out somewhere near that 32. We pushed all the way back down towards 27, closed around 27.60 on some decent volume, 46 million contracts trading on Friday. So the volume was there, where the volatility was there, and oh boy, the velocity was there as well. How about that start for the day when you look at the Dow itself? The Dow up 150 points. It just felt sort of like a ho-hum. All right, we're getting a little bit of a bounce, had a tough week. And before you know it, we ripped to the upside, both on the S&P and on the Dow itself. We absolutely explode to the upside. We finished up 2.5% on the Dow, 835 points. We accelerated all the way into the close of the day. Same thing with the S&P 500, up 2.25%. That was a big jump, 95 points. The NASDAQ, a little bit of a lagger. It was up about 1.5% or so, but 220 points, still nothing to sneeze at, but a really, really great day for the markets to actually recapture where we were just a week ago. And it needed a big move like that. We got that kind of a move. And obviously today we've got even more moves. Apple, Tesla, AMD, all of those trading on Friday as well. Crude had that slide, but crude still holding around 92. It's been above 90 now for a while. I know we jumped up and hit 100. That pulled back pretty dramatically after some of the sanction talk and what they were going to do and what they didn't do and all the rest of it. Gold did ease back as well from the one-year highs. So we had a little bit of a pullback in some of these certain areas, but generally just an incredible move to the upside. You had the 10-year kind of hanging near that 2%, but a little bit below. It was about a 197 on Friday. Every single sector closing in the green. So that was something to really marvel at as well. So technology, it did lag a little bit. It was up about 1.5%, but lagging. Same thing with the semiconductors. That's why we were seeing a little bit of that lag from the NASDAQ. But you look at materials, financials, and staples all up 3% plus. That's a pretty extraordinary move. And certainly that was the move that the markets needed to be able to get back a lot of that ground that we had lost along the way there. So more ups and downs over the weekend. We get into today. We certainly are looking at all the new sanctions, what's going on, SWIFT bans, all of that different type of rhetoric going on. And we've got to deal with all of that. And, oh, by the way, we still got the Fed not too far away. And that's going to be an interesting conversation. What are they actually going to do? Everybody was absolutely convinced until this started up on everything that was going to happen. Now there's a little bit more question marks out there about exactly how things will go. What are going to be some of the levels in which we will hit? We'll find that out. We'll be playing that out for a while now. But today, we start off under some pretty decent pressure once again. Started off today down about 400 points in the Dow, down about nearly 200 points on the NASDAQ, 60 points on the S&P 500. We really haven't moved all that far off of those levels. We've been down as much as 500 points. We rallied off of that just moments ago, but it's been very volatile once again. We also look at the NASDAQ, which is kind of been back and forth a little bit, down maybe 100 points, but then next thing you know, it's down about 70 or 80 points. So that's been a little bit improved from what we were seeing last week when it lagged significantly. It seems like we're seeing a little bit more of a leadership. It feels like, at least, with the NASDAQ itself. So financials, definitely under pressure. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, you look at all the big names, you will see why the financials were down about 2%. That accelerated down to about 2.25%. That's about where we are right now, somewhere between that level. Energy was the one area that really did make a nice flip. As a matter of fact, we got oil right now. We're looking at crude right around that 95.5 level. Early on, energy was actually negative, flipped over to positive, up about 0.75%. I look over at technology. That did slip a little bit from where it had been. I look at the semiconductors is also slipping just a little bit, both somewhere close to about down, maybe call it 1%. Defense stocks popped very early. Volatility popped early. Then it pulled back a little bit. We had volatility trading again towards that 32 level. Then all of a sudden, before we know it, back towards 30. Now, this is going to be something that's going to play out, obviously, throughout the day. We're in the first hour of the day. We've already seen some decent ranges on some stocks, some sectors, and, of course, volatility itself. So a lot of things are moving out there. Where are we seeing some of the biggest weakness? Cruise ships under some pressure. CCL, Norwegian, those names under a little bit of pressure. Airlines under a little bit of pressure as well. I look over at United and American and Delta in the negative. I look at some of the banks. I talked about the financials. It's not just Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, but we're seeing some pretty big moves to the downside out of a lot of different names. Even throw in Wells Fargo, you got State Street, you got Schwab, all these names under a little bit of pressure right now. But we are seeing some areas where it's showing a little bit of positive. You look over at something like a Lockheed Martin, that was up about 3%. You get a little bit of a bounce out of Zscaler, CrowdStrike, a little bit of a bounce. Solar Edge, another one of these names with a nice move to the upside very early on. It was up about 6% or so. So it's going to be a really busy day. Got a lot of obligations. I got a radio show coming up. I just did something on Twitter, on a live Twitter feed. It was great talking about crypto and what's going on in the world and how that's being used, and obviously the effects of that through Ukraine, Russia, and all the rest. But on top of that, we've got WCCO coming up in just a little bit. And then, of course, the halftime report. And then we're not done. Then we got Market Rebellion. We're going to be talking about volatility tonight, right at the close. And following that, we've got also fast money. So it's going to be a very, very busy day. Should be a lot of fun. Beautiful day outside, by the way. JP Morgan is the first one for unusual. Now that hit, it slid a little bit more, but they did something very smart. And that's what I liked about this trade. They're going out to April. They're buying the 140 calls. Stock was trading a little over 143.50. I think it's like 143.70, something like that. They bought the April 140 calls. So those are in the money calls. Those were not cheap. They were about $9. Then they sold the 145s out in April as well as a hedge against this, putting on a $5 spread. What I didn't like about this spread is I don't feel like you get the same kind of risk reward. And I'm talking about the reward side, even if you get that move to the upside because of the costs of this spread. But I still like the looks of somebody taking a shot like that, getting a little something that can move like the stock, and another option out into the future as well. But that's actually trading higher than where the stock is, that maybe can take in some premium. We'll see how that plays out. But it was interesting to see that and a little bit more in the financials as they've been getting hit today, seeing some bottom feeders coming in there a little bit and some very large trades as well in certain other names. So something we might talk about at halftime as well. So secondly, you know me and energy, been talking about energy for 16, 18 months here on the take. $38. Now here we are at 95. I think we're going to 100, and I think we're going past that 100 and even higher, closer to 120. Been saying that for a long time. Continue to believe it. Putting my money where my mouth is throughout all of this. Because why do I think that? Because they've been buying in the beta names, as well as maybe a lot of these, like the Chevrons of the world, even the BPs. Now, obviously, this latest news with BP is a little bit different. Good news is we haven't seen a whole lot of option activity to kind of bring us back into that name. We have been seeing option activity in Exxon. We've had some option activity in Chevron. The biggest has been in a lot of those beta names as well. And that's what we've been talking about for a very long time, in these beta moves, particularly upside. So this one is a bigger name, Shell, and Shell trading about $52 at the time of this trade. 2,200 of the April 57.5 calls getting bought for about 95 cents. The interesting part of this trade was it all was in one print, telling you that's a nice size trader putting in some real money into a trade, expecting a move to the upside. And always remember this, that move does not have to go to 57.5 for these options to move. It's just a place in time, and it depends on the time frame of the move if these stocks are going to start moving to the upside. So always remember that as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. Hopefully you understand. If you don't have the knowledge to understand what I'm talking about, definitely get educated, whether it's online, whether it's on a book, whether it's guys here at Market Rebellion. We've got great people here as well. But you want to be educated in the world of the derivatives markets. That does help risk reward. And it's something, as I said, we'll be talking about right at the close tonight as well. Folks, have a great day of trading.